Morning all. All right, so we're starting off today with a news of the day video for all you fine people for your Monday, September the 18th. Starting with Sonny Milano, who has signed a professional tryout contract with the Calgary Flames. So once again, these PTOs mean they do not have a contract to play with the team this season. They are trying to win a contract to play with the team this season. And I wish Milano the best. Honestly, no risk at all to this, and a good move, I think, by the Flames. That's the Flames gear I am wearing. I like Milano. I thought he had a good year. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get signed to a contract. So there's something that GMs see in Milano's play that has warned them off. And maybe they figure the good year he had was more reflective of who he was playing with than it was that he was playing well himself. But he gets a chance to prove those thoughts wrong if that's what's been keeping him from getting a job, right? So all the best to Milano. Jake Virtanen has signed a tryout with the Oilers. Now, there's all kinds of comments with Virtanen and everything. The one thing that I will say with Virtanen is the last year he was in Vancouver, he was out of shape. He did not play particularly well, and his scoring had just dried up. And there wasn't the physical play. Like, he's a big player. It's a big player, and you'd think that he'd play that physical game. He really doesn't. So we'll see whether or not Virtanen has straightened out that part of his game. He's got to arrive, obviously, in shape, which was a challenge he had in Vancouver. Maybe everything that's happened over the last 12 months has helped him focus, and maybe he does earn himself a job. But either way, the Oilers, if they sign him, if they don't, we'll see what happens. The Ottawa Senators announcing their captains for this year, and Ottawa, of course, is the center of attention for a lot of people right now. Giroux will be wearing an A for associate captain along with Shabbat. Brady Tkachuk is the captain. Now, I'm just going to throw this in there, too. I always thought the A was for assistant. When I was a kid growing up, I was like, all right, that's the captain, and that's the assistants. Cool, that's the assistant captain. Associate captain was something I learned relatively, well, it was a long time after that I learned associate captain rather than assistant. And sometimes I'll still slip and say and was named assistant captain when I'm talking about a player during their career or whatever. So, yeah, Giroux and Shabbat, assistants / associates to Brady Tkachuk. I like that. Obviously, Giroux with a lot of experience in Philadelphia and really should be a calming influence on a pretty young team in Ottawa that's got a lot of expectations, right? Don Sweeney. There will be some Bruins fans arguing with him today, and I'm going to argue with him as well. He says there's no timetable to signing David Pastrnak. Yeah, but there is. Obviously, there is a timetable, because if not, he just goes to the UFA market, and Sweeney goes, well, we just didn't have a timetable. I guess he's gone. So, yeah, there is definitely a timetable. You have to get him signed. The expectation is that he'll get signed, but don't take it lightly. The other part is don't just take for granted that, well, he'll stay here. It'll be fine. I've seen fans do that with players. I've had that feeling from teams with players at times, and sometimes they leave. So, as a Boston fan, I'm really hoping that Pastrnak gets signed sooner rather than later, because the longer you wait, A, it could become a more expensive contract, right? And then B, he may look and go, I'm so close to free agency, and I don't know, especially if Boston got off to a slow start for the season, right? If it looks like Boston might be trending in the wrong direction, maybe Pasta says, yeah, I'm okay. So you don't want that to happen. So yes, there is a timeline. There absolutely is a timetable. I hope that they get this signed sooner rather than later. Professional tryouts, dotting the board again. Antoine Roussel signs a tryout with the Philadelphia Flyers. So again, the Flyers looking for some toughness. Roussel, also a guy who does stay pretty close to that line between clean plays and dirty plays. And at times he may cross that line here and there, but he is a tough player, bottom six guy, and so we'll see whether or not he earns himself a job with Philly. I'm sure Flyer fans are looking at that and going, that's what we needed. We needed Roussel. Done. And now we're happy. Rangers signed Matt Bartkowski to a professional tryout. Apparently he played for Wilkes-Barre last year in the AHL. Bartkowski has depth in the organization. No harm there. Bartkowski sticking with it, and I've talked about that before. Players that stick with it rather than just, retire or go overseas and all that. I have nothing but respect for him. And with all the time Bartkowski's putting in the AHL as well, he may end up being a really good pick for an assistant coach at a later time, as a guy who could, be in an organization helping with player development. Just get the feeling with Bartkowski that may be where that ends up. Moving back up the board, Ian McIntyre is reporting that the Canucks are interested in Ethan Bear. The Canucks right now really need a right-hand defenseman. And as I mentioned in the video I did a couple days ago talking about how, it's not easy for Alvin to upgrade the blue line. The fact that he hasn't upgraded it yet doesn't mean he's not trying to. Now, they do need help on the right side. Ethan Bear, I think, would be a good fit for the Canucks on the right side. We'll see whether or not that works. And for Carolina, what they'd be looking for, odds are it would have to be dollar in, dollar out because of salary cap situations being as they are in the National Hockey League. And then you'd have to ask who would Carolina want off the Vancouver Canucks roster if the Canucks were going to pick up Ethan Bear. I don't have the answer to that. I'm not sure what they would be looking for to solidify a lineup that in Carolina looks really quite good. So maybe they'd look for a prospect or a draft pick. And are the Canucks in a position where they're ready to start moving out future assets for the present? Because that's that line. That's when you'll know whether or not Alvin and Rutherford believe that this team is good enough to contend right now, is when they start moving assets for the future, which of course would, for some of us, trigger Jim Benning flashbacks. But because I don't know that the Canucks necessarily want to be parting with future assets right now. But hey, we'll see what they do, and if Ethan Bear ends up being a guy that they bring in. I honestly think that might be a good call, because again, they do need somebody on the right side. That's why they're talking about Quinn Hughes potentially playing on the wrong side and having him on the right, which he's willing to do. But if you can leave him on the left, where he's obviously going to be a little more comfortable, and have somebody else come in to play on the right side, that would make a lot more sense. But we'll see. And then, last but not least, we've seen a lot of restricted free agents get signed. There are still some outstanding. Of course, for Toronto fans, Rasmus Sandin is still out there. And then the question becomes one of, okay, so if he's not signed by the start of training camp, did they just let that sit? I don't know that Sandin had a spot in the Toronto top 6 to start with for this season anyways. It doesn't feel like he's been, and I don't want to say, well, that's wrong. I can't say he wasn't given the opportunity, but he hasn't had the consistent opportunity to be in that top 6 on the blue line, and maybe they don't envision that for him this year either, and that might be one of the sticking points where he wants to get paid like he is going to be in the top 6, and Toronto isn't as sure as he is in himself. But of course, for Dallas fans, there's still nothing on Jason Robertson. Nothing. They have not signed Jason Robertson. Nothing signed. Nothing going on. There were a couple of questions yesterday in the live stream. There's nothing in the hockey sphere right now about Jason Robertson and the Dallas Stars needing to sign him. And yeah, we're up to the week of training camp. The preseason starts this coming weekend. They need to get that done. So there's still nothing on the Robertson front. I wish I had more to report than that. And hopefully, by mentioning this in the video, having this in this video, I will have an extension to talk about soon. But of course, it's possible that they're getting closer and they're just not talking about it publicly. Much like, we've heard that the Colorado Avalanche are close to an extension with McKinnon, and then that kind of died out. Over the weekend, I haven't heard anything more about it. Doesn't mean it's not still coming. It's just nothing has been said publicly. So hopefully that's the case with Robertson and they get it done. Because if Dallas is going to have a hope at the playoffs, they have to have him in the lineup. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.